Hey guys, so I know you're studying, which is awesome. So here is some extra practice for you that you guys can just work through, and I'll help you out as well. So if you're still confused, you can get more practice with dividing fractions. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have a couple of fractions I give you, dividing problems, and you're going to work them out as I'm working them too. Alright, so I'll have a lot of sections in the video where you're going to pause and work the problem out on your own, and then you can press play and see if the way you worked it out was the same as I did. So let's start. I'm just going to start with the steps of how we divide fractions, right? Because that's what we're doing. So step one, and I want you guys to go ahead and write this on your paper. So you can refer back to it while you're working. So step one, we want to write any mixed numbers. Can y'all see that? Yeah. Any mixed numbers as what? Improper fractions. Good. Alright, step two. If you are finished writing any mixed numbers, converting those to improper fractions, I want you to go ahead and rewrite, because that does tend to get a little messy. So rewrite it, because I think a lot of you are skipping that part. So please make sure you rewrite the division problem. And write them using the improper fractions you just found. Alright, and lastly, step three, you're going to do keep, change, flip. And remember, flip stands for what? We're finding the reciprocal when we flip. So that's what I want you to do. So when you keep, change, flip, you're going to do that. Then I'm gonna add a couple more steps. You're going to either, I'll say simplify, or no, don't simplify. I think a lot of you are getting tripped up on this. So I want you to multiply across. Step 5, once you've multiplied all your numbers, you are going to, please don't simplify yet, because a lot of you are doing that and then finding your mixed number. I want you to multiply across and then make that improper. Make that improper fraction into a mixed number. And then lastly, don't forget, this is our last step. What do you think we're going to do for our last step? Simplify, that's right. So let's start. I'm going to give you guys a problem. If you want to pause it and try to do it on your own and see if you get the same thing as I do, you can. So here's number one. 5/6 divided by 2/6. So you can pause it here and try to work this out yourself. Alright, so if you guys have paused it, hopefully you worked it out. This is how I'm going to start. So step 1 says write any mixed numbers as improper fractions. Right here I don't have any mixed numbers, so I'm good to go to step 2. So rewrite the division problem using improper fractions. I already have my fractions set up, so I don't need to rewrite this. Now I want to do keep, change, flip. So I'm going to label each one just above keep, change, flip. And what I like to do is I actually like to add arrows underneath. So I like to do that. So I'm going to keep 5/6. So I'm going to just put that on the bottom. I want to change division to my opposite, which is multiplication. I've done that. And now I want to flip or find the reciprocal of 2/6. So that is 6/2. Now I can move on to step 4, right? So that means I can multiply across. So 5 times 6 gives me 30. And 6 times 2 gives me 12. Now, this gives you an improper fraction. Please, please, please don't simplify yet, okay? Because I know you guys are super eager to simplify. Not yet. So what we're going to do is now we're going to take this improper fraction, and we're actually going to make the improper fraction back into a mixed number. So let's look at 30 over 12. How many times can 12 go into 30? So I want to say, what if I said 1 time? I know it can go in once, but what if I said 2 times? 12 times 2 gives me 24, so yes, that works. If I did 3, I would have too much. I would have 36 I would go over. So please make sure when you're doing these, that denominator, make sure it can go into that numerator as many times as it can without going over. So a lot of you would kind of accidentally make your whole number. For example, 12 goes into 30 twice. You would accidentally make your whole number 1 short. So for example, you would tell me 12 goes into 30 only 1 time. So just make sure you guys are kind of aware of that. So 2 is my whole number for my mixed number. So now I need to find my numerator and my denominator. My numerator is actually the difference of what 12 times 2 is from 30. So 12 times 2 is 24, right? So from 24 to 30, if I take the difference, it's 6. So 30 minus 24 gives me 6, right? So what I want to do last is to find my denominator, and that's actually my previous denominator, right? So that's my mixed number. But am I done? No, I'm not. So here is my last step. So you eager folks who already wanted to simplify, now you can do it. I'm telling you, go ahead and simplify. So I don't want to do anything to this 2. I just want to simplify 6 over 12. So I want you to find a number that goes into 6 that can also go into 12. So the factor that can go into 6 and 12, for me, I think is going to be 6. So I'm going to divide by 6, top and bottom, and I get, please make sure that you guys rewrite your whole number and you don't forget it. So 6 divided by 6 gives me 1, and 12 divided by 6 gives me 2. That's my new answer, all right? So let's go on to number 2. I want you guys to try this one. Here's another one for practice, and then we'll move on to another type of division of fraction. So these already are in improper fractions. They're not in mixed number form, so I can just go ahead and go to, I don't need to rewrite this, so I can skip step 2. So I can go to step 3, right? I want to keep, change, flip. Now remember, we're going to draw our arrows. 5 over 7 goes down here. We keep it. We want to change my division to the opposite, which is multiplication. Please remember to flip your last one, your second fraction, and we call that second fraction a what? Remember, because this first number is our dividend, and our second fraction is actually our divisor. So our first fraction is our dividend, our second is our divisor. So go ahead and multiply across. I'm going to go a little faster. So let me do my side math, because I kind of can do this in my head, but I want to make sure. 75, and then 7 times 10 is 70. So I definitely can make this in a mixed number, because 70 is smaller than 75. So 70, because, oh yeah, let me explain. So remember, you're not simplifying once you multiply across. You simplify last. That is always your last step, right? So when you've multiplied across and you get your number, go ahead and put that in a mixed number form. So 70 can go into 75 only 1 time. And there's 5 left over, right? So I'm going to make that difference my numerator. And then 70 stays my denominator. Does that make sense so far? Hopefully that does, and hopefully you guys are following along. All right. Lastly, I can simplify, right? So how many times, or what number can go into 5 and 70, because right now I'm only simplifying that little fraction right there. So that number is actually 5. So remember, bring my whole number over and rewrite my fraction. So 5 divided by 5, and on my denominator, 5 divided by 5 gives me 1, and then 70 divided by 5 gives me 14, right? So my new answer is 1 and 1/14. Hopefully we're good so far. So just keep following along. Now we're going to move on to a different type of problem. So these were, the first two problems were fractions that are already in improper fraction form. So what if I gave you a number that is in a mixed number form? So what if I gave you 3 1/3 divided by 1/3? How would I start that? So step 1, remember you guys have those at the top. Write any mixed number as an improper fraction. So let's start. 3 1/3. So remember the way we do this, guys, because this is actually more of a review. We take our denominator and we multiply it with our whole number. So 3 times 3 is 9. That number that we get, that product, we actually add to our numerator. So 9 plus 1 gives me 10. So I need you guys to rewrite this down here. So that numerator is 10. What's my denominator? My denominator is my denominator from that fraction in your mixed number. So I'm going to keep 3. Good? Now, I want to bring down my division sign. Please do not skip step 2. Since this is a mixed number kind of problem, we want to go ahead and go through all the steps. So step 1, we wrote all of our mixed numbers in improper fraction because 1/3 is not a mixed number. We don't need to address it until later. So 3 1/3, we went ahead and we changed it into an improper fraction. Now we're on step 2. So we're rewriting the division problem using improper fractions. So 10/3 divided by 1/3, right? Now I can go on to step 3, because this kind of looks like the problem from number 1 and 2. I can go ahead and say keep, change, flip, or find the reciprocal. So go ahead, just keep going, guys. Don't be afraid to use space on your paper. That's what it's for. So I'm going to keep 10/3. I'm going to change division to multiplication, and I want to flip 1/3 to, oops, 3/, whoa, my paper's falling. There we go. I want to change 1/3 to 3/1. Now, can I go ahead and move on to step 4? Yes, I can, because I can go ahead and multiply across. So 10 times 3 is 30. 3 times 1 is 3. And a lot of you get lazy with your sign that you put, either if it's addition, subtraction, division, or what have you. Just make sure you guys are aware that that is a multiplication now. So for some reason, I had some of you leave that off, and then you added these two numbers by accident. So guys, please make sure you're going step by step. Don't be afraid. Don't be too tense that you're like, oh no. Just be aware, be calm, and go step by step, and I'm sure you guys are going to be just fine. All right. So a lot of you are like, oh no, we can, really simplify 30/3. So let me show you. It is improper. So I want to go ahead and make 30/3 a mixed number. How many times can 3 go into 30? I hope you said 10. So that is correct. So if it goes evenly, my answer is just 10. Good so far? Let's do another example like that, because I do think that you guys need a little bit more practice, which is converting that. So let's go ahead and look up here. So here's number 4. Now number 4, it is 2 1/2 divided by 1/4. So step 1, remember, what does it say? Change any mixed number into an improper. Do I have any mixed numbers? I sure do. 2 1/2. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to a mixed number.